There's an owner on the forum, Yesterday's Tractors, who bought his compact tractor from a big box store. Hardly used the thing, and he's already trailered it across the state, more than once, to the only shop that would touch it. The store that sold him that machine doesn't have a service bay behind the counter. So every time something breaks, he's driving half a day just to get it looked at. But his real problem isn't the drive. It's that the brand he bought may not even make the part he needs a few years from now. If you've got a few acres and you're about to write a check on one of these, this is the number nobody is pricing for you. Not horsepower, not loader lift capacity. Whether the badge on the hood can keep the parts coming for the life of that machine, or whether it turns into a lawn ornament the day something breaks. I ranked every brand on that single question, worst to best, and by the end I'll hand you 3 questions to ask any dealer before you sign. I scored every brand on 4 things you can check before you sign anything. How many authorized servicing dealers are within driving distance of your property? Whether there's a parts warehouse on this side of the ocean, or every part ships from overseas. Whether the badge is a rebadge, someone else's machine with a sticker on it that can vanish and take its part numbers with it. And whether the parent company is permanent, or one bad quarter from leaving the market. That's the ruler. Every brand you're about to hear got measured against it. Before the countdown starts, here's the floor. These are the brands that already lost. Gray market Yanmar. Yanmar says it in writing, on its own gray market notice, that the company won't knowingly supply replacement parts for gray market units, and that U.S. certified rollover protection isn't available for them. The throttle even runs backwards from American spec. A Yanmar owner on Tractor Buynet bought one for about $10,500, ran it less than an hour before the engine failed, and spent a year calling, emailing, and faxing anyone who might sell him the parts. Farmtrac. Per the court filings and the federal record, Farmtrac North America told about 180 employees in early 2008 that it was shutting down. Production stopped that February. The company went into receivership owing more than $55 million, and owners couldn't redeem their warranties. Montana. Montana Tractor stopped being a tractor company on January 1, 2011, after its Korean supplier entered the U.S. market under its own name. The tractors were fine, but the badge they were keyed to went dark, and back-ordered parts stayed back-ordered. Those 3 brands are what happens when the orphan trap closes and nobody tells you. The live brands coming up have gaps of their own, and the one sitting at the top of this list comes with a catch. Number 9. The TYM-built brands. Rural Kings RK Tractors, Bad Boy, TYM, and Branson. Rural King sells its RK tractors through farm supply stores with no service bay behind the counter. An owner on Yesterday's Tractors wrote that his machine had about 71 hours on it in 2 years. And he'd already trailered it 3 hours each way, more than once, to the only shop that would service it. Rural King's own service listing points owners to its hub in Sweetwater, Tennessee. That's not a parts network. Bad Boy came to Tractors in a 2020 deal, machines reaching dealers a year later, built by Kubota, which TYM owns. Its 1,300 or so U.S. locations are mower dealers, and a mower dealer isn't a tractor parts counter. TYM's own dealer locator returns 32 authorized dealers across 17 states. A map aggregator lists about 306. Branson parts and TYM parts don't interchange. One parent company, 2 factories, 2 separate parts pipelines. Here's what that thin network costs an owner. A poster named NEPA on Tractor Buynet laid out a 30-month ordeal with his TYM cab tractor. Serial number 9 off the line. Threw its dash lights from the very first tank of fuel and never cleared them. 20 dealer visits to his farm, 2 trips back to the dealership, letters to South Korea and to his state attorney general. And when they handed him a replacement, it failed the exact same way at 72 hours. His own dealer, in the same town, wrote him a letter telling him to go find another dealer. And straight from the Better Business Bureau file on TYM, another owner with a 6-year powertrain warranty was quoted $3,500 in labor for a part that cost under $100, and had been waiting over 6 weeks for parts with no end in sight. Number 8. LS. LS runs about 301 dealers across 47 states. It builds the New Holland Boomer and Workmaster compacts under a deal for 28,500 tractors worth close to $390 million. And it built the dead Montana. So an LS part can sit under an LS number, a New Holland number, or an old Montana number, and dealers can't always tell which one fits your machine. 3. Part numbers for the same tractor from a brand that already watched one of its badges go dark. Both of these are on the Better Business Bureau file for LS. One owner paid $22,500 for his machine, watched a steering pump seal fail, got the warranty claim denied, even though his powertrain coverage ran for years yet, and traded the tractor at a loss of more than $4,000. Another owner waited 14 months for a backhoe attachment that never came. 14 months on a machine he was still making payments on. Number 7. The Bobcat CT. The Bobcat CT is a rebadged Kioti. That CT 2025 on the lot is a Kioti CK 2610 wearing a Bobcat sticker. You're paying a Bobcat premium for Kioti iron, and your parts trace back to Kioti's pipeline if you know to ask for the Kioti number. If you don't know to ask, you're paying the markup for the same part under a different catalog. You're buying the decal, not the tractor. Number 6. Mahindra. Mahindra's been in the U.S. market since the 1990s. About 409 dealers, distribution centers, 5 assembly plants. That's the best infrastructure of any brand in this tier of the ranking. But dealers churn, and when a dealer drops the Mahindra line, your parts access can dry up with the dealership. One Mahindra owner's front wheel fell off the machine at about 50 hours. The tractor sat in the shop for 4 months while he kept making the payments. That one's on the complaint file. And another owner on TractorBuyNet needed about $30 in seals for his lift cylinder. The parts catalog wouldn't sell him just the seals, only the whole cylinder assembly at $805. $805 for what should have been a $30 repair, because the catalog won't break the part down. For the record, the brands sitting at the bottom of this list haven't issued any public response to these specific claims. Now I want to put a number on what a thin parts network costs you in real dollars, because this is the part that doesn't come up at the dealership. A genuine Kioti DPF sensor runs about $224 from an authorized dealer. That sensor price is a live listing from an authorized Kioti parts dealer. If your nearest servicing dealer is 150 miles away, 2 round trips to diagnose and fix the problem is 600 miles. At the current federal mileage rate, that's about $456 just in driving. Twice the price of the part. And if that part back orders 6 weeks, and that wait is from a filed complaint, the machine sits dead for that stretch of your season. A $200 sensor, a $400 drive, and a 6-week wait. The badge on the hood decided that bill before you ever signed. Number 5. Kioti. This is where the ranking turns. Kioti sells almost only under its own badge. No rebadge to vanish, no part number translation to navigate. It runs a headquarters and parts center of about 335,000 square feet in Wendell, North Carolina. And in May of 2025, it opened a second warehouse of about 146,000 square feet with 26 loading docks in Tumwater, Washington. Per Kioti's own press releases, that's its first West Coast parts hub. Its parent's parts business grew about 20% in the first half of 2026, per a trade report on the parent's parts numbers. But even here, there's a cliff. One owner of a 12-year-old Kioti, with only 300 hours on it, called 5 dealerships looking for a gear shift lever. Kioti corporate told him they'd quit making the part after 10 years. That one's on the complaint record for Kioti. The infrastructure is getting better, but the parts life has a ceiling, and if you plan to run your machine past a decade, that ceiling matters. Number 4. Massey Ferguson. Massey runs somewhere between 513 and 558 dealers, per the count. It's owned by AGCO, a permanent public, American-headquartered parent. There's no scenario where this badge disappears and takes your part numbers with it. On the 4-point ruler, Massey Ferguson is clean. Number 3, New Holland and Case IH, same rung because they share a parent. Both belong to CNH. Together, about 1,357 U.S. locations. In May of 2026, CNH put both brands' dealer and parts support under one North American organization, per the trade press covering the reorganization. One parent, 2 badges, a shared pipeline. New Holland's Boomer and Workmaster compacts are LS built, so those parts cross-reference to LS. That helps if you know to ask for the LS number, but not every buyer will. Number 2, Kubota. Kubota claims over 1,100 dealers, and unlike most of the brands below it on this list, Kubota was built from the start around the compact tractor buyer. Clean parts access, no subscription to order, no dealer permission gate between you and the part you need. And owners report, again and again, that Kubota keeps parts available on machines 40 years old. On this axis, Kubota is the value pick. Same commitment to compact tractor parts, without the premium I'm about to show you. Remember this one when you hear the catch on number 1. Number 1, John Deere. Deere runs about 2,256 U.S. locations, feeding off a central parts warehouse in Milan, Illinois. About 2.8 million square feet of distribution, shipping around 80,000 order lines a day, close to 450,000 a week, from over 800,000 different parts. Per the distribution network profile of that facility, it's one of the largest tractor parts operations anywhere. The company's been in the country since 1837. Zero orphan risk. On pure parts availability, nobody else is close. But here's the catch. That location count spans every Deere line: lawn, turf, construction, agriculture. The share that stocks compact tractor parts is a fraction of the total. You pay the green premium for that certainty. And even the densest network doesn't fix geography. The U.S. Public Interest Research Group found in its 2022 report that in the state of Montana, just 3 Deere chains run 19 locations between them, and owners can drive hundreds of miles to reach a competing shop. If you want the biggest parts pipeline in the industry, and you don't mind paying for it, Deere is number 1. If you want the same axis covered without the premium, go back up to Kubota. Here are your 3 questions to ask any dealer before you sign. First, how many of your authorized servicing dealers are within an hour of my place? Count the ones with a real parts counter, not just a retail floor. When a brand's own locator and a map tell 2 different stories, that gap is your first tell. Second, do you stock parts for this model on your shelf, or do they ship from overseas? A brand with a U.S. parts warehouse already has the part in the country when something breaks. That's the difference between a same-week fix and a wait that starts at the port. Third, is this badge built by someone else? And what happens to my part numbers if this name leaves the market? Montana was a name on someone else's iron. When the supplier walked, the catalog keyed to that name went dark overnight. You suspected the badge game before you clicked on this video. Now you've got the receipts and you've got the questions. Walk into that dealership and ask them.